It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Hi, this is Tina Spolatini with Confidence in Bloom, where we are talking with women who live in their full confidence and authenticity. Today I'm speaking with Misty Kofler. I hope I'm saying that right, Misty. Misty is the owner of Enrich Yoga and Wellness. Hi, Misty. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a yoga teacher. I am a soon-to-be yoga therapist. I am a busy mom of 3, and I'm just an average woman living out her dreams. I'm trying to become an entrepreneur and run a business and be in school and be a mom all at the same time. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. You said you called yourself a yoga therapist. Tell me what that means.
Well, yoga therapy is a further training after becoming a yoga teacher. It's something that you can take. And what it is using the best parts of yoga and kind of some of the best parts of physiotherapy almost, and putting them together and using breath and stillness and meditation and movement to help people heal, either from pain or discomfort, or to help people find a greater range of motion in their movement. Yoga therapy is really like a beautiful private yoga session where we explore you as an individual, right? So that's a little bit about yoga therapy.
And so it's not therapy necessarily for, like a broken bone, as you compared it to physiotherapy. You could use it just for personal growth as well.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, I have, some clients who come to me with physical pain, and some clients who come to me who are just needing more silence or stillness or breath in their life.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Let's talk about confidence. How do you define self-confidence, and why do you think it's important?
Well, self-confidence to me is all about being authentically myself. I kind of view self-confidence a little bit differently than some people because I'm not always confident. If I'm learning a new skill or doing something a little bit daring, I'm not always confident in myself. So that's kind of the way I think about self-confidence, whereas authenticity, I think about even in those moments where I'm not feeling as sure of myself, I'm always 100% authentic. Here we go. Anyway, I'm always 100% me, authentically me. And so, yeah, self-confidence is important. You want to believe that what you're doing, that you're capable of what you're doing. But sometimes, sometimes you're a little bit unsure, and that's okay. But even in those moments, I'm always 100% myself.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's how we should all be, I think anyway. What are some tips you could give to some of our listeners about being more confident?
I think grace is a big thing. You know, giving yourself some grace to know that you're not always going to be perfect in the moment that you want to be. Know that if you're doing something for the first time and it doesn't work out the way you thought it would, that it's not about it's not about becoming a master at something the first time. It's about learning, you know, and giving yourself a little bit of grace in that you might make mistakes, and that's okay. But if you can remain true to who you are in yourself, while you're trying to do these things, you should be okay. You shouldn't blow past your values. You shouldn't blow past your boundaries if you're remaining authentic to yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And that I'm learning that if you write down your core beliefs and you compare the way you live your life to your core beliefs, then you know you're living in your authentic beliefs, your authenticity. That's beautiful the way you put that. In your opinion, what is the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence?
Well, I see self-confidence more as a situational thing and self-esteem more as an internal thing, for me personally anyway. So my self-esteem is how I feel about myself, how I love myself, how I dislike myself, the internal dialogue, whereas self-confidence is, you know, to me more situational. Am I feeling confident in this moment? So that's a little bit how I see it. And I'm not always great at either, truthfully. You know, my self-esteem is not always perfect and my self-confidence is not always perfect. But I try to, going back to being authentic, I try to be authentic in who I am. And that helps. It helps me feel a little bit better about the situation.
Right, I get that 100%. But at the same time, I feel like we shouldn't be judging ourselves, you know, like good or bad, right? I mean, self-esteem is, like you said, it's how you view yourself. And if you have a low self-esteem, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you know it, you have to work on it, right? It's not necessarily
100%.
bad, right? Yeah.
100%.
I love how you put that. Yeah. How do you think you could be more self-confident? Can you give us like 2 or 3, you know, little tips on how to be, like, I mean, obviously every situation is different.
Yeah. For me, how I grow my self-confidence is by, you know, try again. That's how I grow my self-confidence. You know, not giving up on myself, really giving myself time to look at the world or the situation or whatever it is through a child's eyes. Know that there's some growth that needs to happen there, that I'm not going to be perfect at something the first time I do it. You know, when I first started teaching yoga, I was so scared. Oh, I was so scared. And not all it took, it was a lot of hard work, but what it took was for me to just continuously show up for myself and show up for my students and just fumble my way through. And eventually I became what I believe is a very good yoga teacher. It just took me time. It took me practice and dedication. And again, it took me some having grace with myself to realize that I am going to make mistakes and that is perfectly okay.
Yeah, totally. I think you're an awesome yoga teacher. I think I've taken 2 or 3 of your classes, and I just love how you're always so calm and like forgiving, knowing that we are not perfect, right? It's like we feel more confident by your instruction because you make it very clear. Our bodies are not made to do everything at every given moment.
Exactly. and having confidence in knowing that that's okay, and that if you keep trying, you can figure it out. Like I quite often in my yoga classes will say, like, how do you know that you can do a pose if you never try it? And you you may try and you may feel like you failed, but quite frankly, one day if you keep trying, the next thing you know, you're going to be able to do it. So, just keep trying for that self-confidence.
Exactly. And one thing I've learned is you can't really do a yoga pose wrong. It might not look like the lady beside you, but you're still doing it, right?
No, exactly. Exactly. That's the beautiful thing about yoga, is it teaches us more about ourselves than almost any other activity, because you're so in tune to your own body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a few years to figure that part out. I thought yoga was just about stretching, and moving in a different way. And I realized, probably after 3 years, there's more to it than just stretching.
Yes. Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Why do you think self-confidence is important in our everyday life?
Because if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? I mean, I would love to say that everybody has somebody that believes in them, but maybe that's not true. You have to show up for yourself, have your own back, be your own cheerleader. Self-confidence is so important for peace of mind, to know that
100%.
like, yes, if you don't get it the first time, that's okay, that you have the confidence to keep trying. Yeah. Self-confidence is really important.
Yeah. I love that. And where do you think our self-confidence comes from?
From being authentic in who you are, for sure. Well, for me anyway, I can't say for everybody, but for me personally, being authentic in who I am, how I present myself to the world, how I act with integrity, that's where my confidence comes from. When I waver in my integrity, then I don't feel as confident.
Yeah, because you're questioning every move you're making. I love that. That's
exactly. Beautiful. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think you could fake self-confidence?
Me personally, no. I can try, I suppose, but I feel like people can see through it, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't feel like I can fake self-confidence, but there's also something to be said about that fake it till you make it, which I believe some people, it's true. And in some ways, I guess I did do that when I was learning to teach yoga, is I just faked being confident until I actually was. So can you? Yes. Is it easy? Not necessarily. Would I prefer to show up authentically and say I'm not confident, but I'm going to keep trying? That's how I would prefer to show up. But
yeah,
I
agree.
It's different for everybody.
I'm exactly the same. And like you said earlier, like I might be confident, in this moment or in this situation, but my overall self-confidence might be low.
Yeah.
Right? I know myself.
Perhaps.
I can put on the right outfit, walk into a room, and I can rock it, right? But then there's some days where I'm like, I'm not feeling it. The outfit isn't doing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I
100%.
get what you're saying 100%. Yeah. Do you think self-confidence can lead to success?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I do believe that. When you're self-confident, when you are authentic in who you are, you attract people who appreciate that, who enjoy that, who want a piece of that, who want to surround themselves with that. And doing that will bring will bring success. In my line of work, if I am self-confident, people will have trust in me to be able to help them in yoga and yoga therapy. And that would bring me success for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% there. Why do you think some women have a low self-confidence?
Oh, that's a big question. I think partly not knowing who they are. You know, I can just speak from experience. When I did not know who I was, when I wasn't living authentically, I had very little self-confidence because I wasn't sure about what the world was calling me to do, how I was being called to show up. And so things that I tried didn't necessarily feel like they fit for me. You know, so it just took a long time of trying and finding something that finally worked for me that felt like coming home.
Yeah, that sounds so beautiful. In your line of work, so you're a yoga instructor, a yoga therapist, a reiki practitioner, meditation instructor and guide. What do you do to serve others, to bring them to the next level?
Well, there's a lot of things that I believe in. One of them is that yoga and holistic wellness should be something that is accessible to everybody. So I make sure that my classes are accessible and that I offer a wide range of classes. I also make sure that my pricing is affordable. And I really listen to what people have to say. I maybe ask more questions than the average yoga therapist does, but it's just so important for me to know how you're feeling, to really show up and listen and to be there for you so that you can feel seen and you can feel heard. It's so important. It's so important. You know, quite often people come to yoga therapy almost as a last resort. You know, physio hasn't worked, chiro hasn't worked, they're doctors, they don't feel like people listen to them. I want them to feel exactly the opposite in yoga therapy. I want them to know that I am listening and that I am hearing them and I am here to help them improve whatever it is they're coming for, even if that's just rest.
Oh, I love that. I feel like yoga is like, it relaxes me. You know, it makes me forget everything. You know, even though sometimes when I'm in like the Shavasana pose, my brain is like starting to go, right? It's like, okay, so when this is done, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then I'm like, wait, just bring it back. And when, you know, the bowls start to ring or whatever, each instructor does something different at the end. I'm like, you've got this time, enjoy it, just do nothing, think nothing, right? Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
I don't think there is a right way or a wrong way.
Okay, that was the answer I was looking for.
I think that there are days for us that it's easier to be a little bit more quiet in our head and days where it's not. And that's just the nature of our brains, right? I have a dear friend that calls it monkey mind. Some days the monkey is asleep and some days the monkey is fully playing, and it just kind of depends on the day. The trick is to not beat yourself up on the days the monkey is loud and playing, and, you know, don't beat yourself up for those days. Those are okay. And when you're in that moment, that's exactly where you're supposed to be, and that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's all about forgiveness, right? And grace.
Yeah. 100%. It goes back to giving yourself some grace, accepting yourself as you are in the moment.
That's so awesome. I just love that. Okay, so when you're not teaching yoga or, you know, doing yoga therapy, you know, doing your profession, what do you do for fun?
Oh, I love hiking and canoeing. we try to get out to the mountains as much as we can, try to get out to the national parks as much as we can. I love to garden for sure, and I love to read. If it's cold, you can find me reading beside the fire, and if it's warm, you can find me reading on my porch swing. So, yeah, I love to read.
That's great. Do you read like all kinds of books, or do you have like a favorite?
I used to be a well-rounded reader, but right now, because of school, I'm reading mostly books related to yoga in some way, whether it's anatomy or it's biomechanics or yoga philosophy. Right now, that's what I'm reading, but I
like
sure do love
textbooks?
a good, yeah, but I sure do love a good fiction book. I love self-help books. I love young readers, like the young adult books. They're always so enjoyable. So I love poetry. So I do read everything, but right now it seems to be a little bit hijacked with higher learning.
I guess, right? Because you don't have too much time with 3 kids at home.
No, no, and yoga is like a beautiful, like almost like an onion. There's just layers and layers and layers, and you can just keep going down. And every time I find something interesting, then it brings up something else that interests me, and then it makes me want to read something about that. And it's a bit of a rabbit hole.
Wow,
There's
that's
so much
awesome.
to learn.
That is so amazing. Yeah. There's so much to learn, and we think it's, like I said, I went into yoga thinking it was simple, right? But as the years go on, I'm finding it more and more that, like you said, there's always something more to learn about it. Peel away the onion.
Yeah.
Misty, can you
physical...
tell our listeners? Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off?
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, can you tell our listeners where we can find you on social media?
So I am on Facebook at Enrich Yoga and Wellness, and I am on Instagram at Enrich Y and W, and it's an ampersand there. So Enrich Y ampersand W. I'm on Instagram, Facebook and Instagram, and I have a website at enrichyogaandwellness.com.
Awesome. I've enjoyed this talk so much, and I feel like I'm going to be taking more of your classes. So I know that we will be in touch some more. And I'm also interested in your yoga therapy. So we will be definitely chatting some more about that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our chat this morning. And I hope that, in a year or so we can chat again and see where, Enrich Yoga and Wellness has taken you, because it sounds like you're going to go super far.
Oh, well, I would love that. I'd love a catch-up. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.